Hey, welcome back everyone to Rising Warriors Rachael Kulei. I am Nabi Mia Dachina, a woman that travels with the stars. I am Northwest Band Shoshone from my mother's side, and I come from Chief Washki on my mother's side, and from the Bear Clan. And on my father's side, the Nez Perce and the Osage, and I come from Chief Joseph on my father's side. And today I have my brother Wayne Snellgrove back with me today. And I'm excited to have him here. Today we are going to be talking about big people, which most of you know as Bigfoot or Sasquatch. So this was an important one to me. I feel, that we were talking about after our last podcast that we felt that we needed to educate and talk about big people. And brother over here has some stories and some knowledge that he's going to share with us. And then I also have some stories of my own encounters that I've had that I will share when we get there.
Beautiful.
So go ahead, brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself, your people, and let's get started.
Well, thank you for having me again. My name is William Snellgrove, Saulteaux Tribe, Fishing Lake First Nation, Saskatchewan, Ka-née Pa Wit people, Treaty 4 territory. My spirit name is Ka-née Pa Wit Makwa, Standing Bear, and the other spirit name I have is Morning Eagle, given to me directly by my direct elder from the Nanticoke Nation, Tony StoneHawk. So thank you for those elders to show me the way and to pass down some of that wisdom. Can't really start without thanking. That's one of the really traditional things. So we started off with a prayer a little bit before the show, but if that's okay with you, Rachel, we're going to say another little prayer for everybody out there. Take a little pinch of tobacco out there. Yes. So thank you. Grab your feathers, grab your medicine, and a little pinch. And a little pinch goes a long way. So the Creator, thank you for this moment. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this place. Thank you to Rachel. Thank you to the ancestors for bringing us both here today and aligning those things that needed to align to create this beautiful ceremony and this beautiful sacred space and this beautiful place for truth, love, and honesty. And we talk about many beautiful things. So I'm very excited today to talk about those really spiritual things that have been passed down to me. Big people. That is big people. Yes, big people. Such a beautiful topic, and it's really only really understood by the indigenous. It's really, we talk outside of colonial circles, Western circles, and everybody kind of rolls their eyes like, okay, here we go, a bunch of Indians again talking about, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, like all this stuff. And I think ancestrally, let's just start here. I think ancestrally that we've had a good relationship with the big people for a long time. And so it's really no surprise that we have a better relationship, because we have a better relationship. Our ancestors have had a better relationship with all those beautiful connections, and that's really what we're talking about here on our building those connections and having, sustaining, and understanding what's out there in all those other beautiful circles, and let's be reminded that they are a beautiful family and a beautiful circle too. They're beautiful. They're special. I don't even know where to begin. I was kind of like, okay, Spirit, tell me. You know what Spirit just said? begin at the beginning. And I said,
Yep.
okay, we're talking about that
Go to
before the show. I'm like,
beginning.
yes, okay, I got it. So anyway, let's there's a couple things. There's a couple things. And there's a real local a timely story I had only a few weeks ago, with them. Well, let's go back to the very beginning, kind of like, the colonial narrative, and oh my God, I can't, like, how can that be? It's kind of hidden from us, that kind of thing. It's just from the social thing, and like, I get all that, and that being said, there was a time, probably about 15, maybe 20 years ago, that I had a really beautiful community in North Miami. It was Grandfather Tony's altar, and he allowed me to hold ceremonies there. And one of those things is, big people are a medicine. We forget that we are medicine. Everything out there, everything that has spirit is medicine, has a song, has a language, has all this, everything from the four directions. So like emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and of course, physically. And so I was talking to Grandfather Tony about this. I said, you know what? Something said, man, I kept hearing them. I kept hearing them. And I didn't know what that was, and I took it to Grandfather Tony, and I said, Tony, I'm seeing something really big here, And when I big, mean big, like big, like I'm 6'4", like 240, like I'm a big guy, But it was something in spiritual realms. I could feel their size in spiritual realms. It was really absolutely beautiful. Not really a scary place. I do have some scary stories about it, though. But not. But it was scary. He said, just pray about it. Pray that you want to meet them. And I said, and I'm in Miami, so I'm sitting here thinking, like, yeah, I'd like to see a Sasquatch come down Collins Avenue, Miami, come down, walking down that's not quite the way it worked out. Sasquatch with a speedo. Yeah, I don't think I was going to see that.
Got a boogie board.
We jest, but there's really a lot of power behind it, because again, we have to get behind, get away from those Western narratives of this time and this place, because in spiritual realms we just don't have that. There's no time, there's no place. So I spent a lot of time just sitting with my pipe by the fire, and just, again, we're talking about making offerings here, making offerings, meaning no harm in, what I do, really setting that beautiful intention. Spirit works with intention, and so does Sasquatch. Whenever we want to build, maintain, a relationship, that's the way it starts. We start with really pure intention. So that's what I did, and so then it happened. Like I could feel, like, after, I couldn't put a time frame on it. Maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, maybe two. But, I started to feel something there. It was just something, there was a presence there that wasn't there before. And I said, you know what? They're here. And it's a very real, tangible energy. And thank God I did that, because it helped me later on in life, kind of thing. And I'll get to that. So it has a different, much different energy, kind of thing. And I started to recognize that. And then I can remember, visions, dreams, messages come to us. And this is kind of like a general teaching. They can come to us in sickness. They can come to us in dreams. They can come to us in like some sort of lucid state. It really doesn't. We really don't. We have to be prepared at all times. A man could wait his whole life for a vision and like never have one. Kind of thing. Because you really have to set that intention. So anyway, the way my story goes, I was sitting there in bed, and it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. It's always about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. There's something going on. The bed always saying about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting there, and I just like woke up on my back, which is kind of rare, looking straight up, and I just started to just wake up, and I woke up like that, and I'm like, huh, like somebody just like placed me there, and I'm like, huh, that's really weird. And I got that overwhelming sense that energy that I got when I was in prayer was there. And so I said, oh, and I thought it was outside. And I freaking poked my head up, and it was across the room. I saw. He was about 12. He was about 12 feet tall, and he was the biggest two-legged I had ever seen. And that's when I heard. That's when he told me. He said, "We don't like being called Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or anything else. Big people work stuff. They're more happy with big people." And so I've been calling it big people ever since. Kind of thing. Kind of their thing and not mine. I can't really come up with that. And I can't just. But they called. They call themselves big people, and he was so big and so massive, and I just kind of stood there, and I really didn't know what to say at first. I said, "Hi." It's really kind of the way it went at first, like, yeah, hi, but then we had, then we started to have communication. This is who I thank God for the elders that told me what to do. Just introduce yourself, so tell them your spirit name, tell them where you're from, tell them where your people from. Because they already know where we're from, but it builds that confidence, in that relationship when you tell them yourself, because they are part of our ancestry too. They are a part of, they are relatives. And so anyway, we had a really, really beautiful conversation, and kind of the short version is, they're with us all the time, especially we call them Saulteaux. They're actually on the Saulteaux medicine wheel. So it's really, really one of those. I didn't quite get that when I got there. I saw this big old foot, and I said, wow, that's okay. All right, I get it. There's actually flyers up in Saulteaux territory about Bigfoot. Actually, I tried to find. I spent about an hour before the show here, scrolling through. 15,000 pictures. I tried to find it, but I took a picture of Sasquatch beside it. Don't go near him. Just let him walk on by, kind of thing. But we know that they're real. We know that they carry a message. What I know is, and again, this is just one perspective. This doesn't make it right or wrong. We really have to get away from that colonial narrative of what, well, this is what I read, and because what you said, it doesn't correlate, then you're wrong, type thing. Right. They will relate to us in a way which we will understand. And they will relate to us in a way that makes sense to us and our people, kind of thing. In other words, they will give us medicine that we need, kind of thing, And every tribe, every elder is different, so we really have to be aware. So this is kind of have to get away from the colonial narrative of well, this is right, this is what the history book said, this is what some colonial guy said, and so you must be wrong, you must be making up stuff. That's not really what we're looking at here. Spirit's really open-minded, and spirit really has to speak. Spirit speaks in a language which we understand, and that's different for every tribe. So, story time.
Yeah, story time.
So, and let's remember that energy there. And so, when I was on Fishing Lake, probably, I don't know, about a couple of years ago now, I'd written Daily Medicine. I'd written a couple other books out there, started a couple other books out there too. And I kind of adopted this kind of puppy that was in the back. My cousin had him, and she was a little thing, little puppy, really a puppy without a home. So I kind of named her Princess, and took her. She was chained up all the time. She was outside, just a res dog, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go on these long walks, and so I would take like 4 or 5 hour hikes all throughout. Fishing Lake. I just cut through a path, and I cut through here, and I'm really happy to have that dog with me, because, just something a little friendly out there, and so, but I really just wanted to know the land, the ancestors, and really there's no better way to do that than just walk around, kind of thing, kind of walk around and, have my little prayer bundle, with me, and I make offerings, and sometimes I bring a little food and, put it in a red cloth and just kind of put it out there and just say, mean no harm in what I do. Again, just trying to make good relations. And so me and the puppy were out there. We were crossing a huge field, and probably about maybe 150 yards away, there was a little bit of a bush line, kind of like a tree line, but not quite, and something caught my attention. I said, oh man, what's that, and the thing was about the bush height was about 10 feet, and it was a thin row, and I could see something behind it, something really big, and I thought it was a moose. There's a lot of moose around there. So, so I said, okay, you're big. I give you the road, man. I'll just hang out. I'll just hang out when you just you kind of hang out, and I'll just you just do what you got to do, and I'm going to just sit right here and do absolutely nothing, And so the thing was, so I'm facing this way, and he was kind of over that way, and I said, wow, he's not moving. So I squared up to him just to. And you know what he did? He squared up on me. And I'm looking like, oh, that's not a moose. Wow, that's not a freaking moose. So I said, okay, so I still give you the road. You can still go ahead. And now I'm slowly taking out, taking out and giving some prayers here, and the puppy was completely oblivious. The puppy was just a puppy, what puppies do.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of looked at each other like 10 minutes, just sat there. About 10 minutes, I'm just kind of looking like, okay, all right, something's gonna happen here. I think it's time to retreat here. I do a little retreat, offering them tobacco. Again, it was so important. Thank God for my elders that just put that intention. I mean no harm in what I do. I mean no harm in what I do. I said that a lot. I said that a lot, but if we can back up. And so now sitting there, I said, it's probably not a good idea. I'm going to kind of head back the other way. You can go your way. And so I turned around, I collected the puppy, and then the puppy was looking that direction too. So I turned around, taking about 3 steps. I collected the puppy. The puppy was looking right. Princess was looking right at that direction. So I looked back, and I was like, poof. It was gone. It was completely gone. It was completely gone. And I'm like, wow. Okay. It just went from a little nervous to a little bit more nervous. And so now I don't know where he's at, but there's like a forested area, probably about 150 yards from where he was standing. That little bush line kind of led up into that forested area. But what we had to do, there's train tracks all across, the res there. So that's the way we came in. I said, well, that's the only way back to where we got to go. And the parallels, the bushes are over here and the train tracks here. And so we went back. We went hurrying on back to the train tracks. And the first time I've never seen a dog look so scared before. It's a little thing. It was only maybe 20, 25 pounds, and the hackles were straight up, and it was doing that low growl. Low growl. Okay, well, that's okay. More tobacco, more offering. Sometimes it's just not enough offering. Kind of thing, the whole thing. Yeah. So I'm making those offerings, and we're probably 25, 30 yards away from the really dense bush right there. And again, I got that feeling that it was right there, just kind of like walking, kind of walking. I didn't hear anything. I didn't smell anything. It wasn't like, sometimes they said have a really bad odor and stuff like that. I didn't really get that impression or get that smell, but I definitely got that energetic feeling that, like it was there, just kind of watching me type thing. It was really, and so, we finally made it back to my mom's house, and my mom lives right across the street from the end of that big kind of like forested area. And I just I was real happy to walk in the door. I just kind of bolted the top door, like that's going to do anything. But it was, but yeah, it was, but the thing, like the thing is, it was a very real. And what I had to do after that is I had to sit with that medicine. That's what the elders said. So what Tony always told me to do, just sit with that. And, we talked about it a little bit this morning in the meditation about sitting with that medicine. What does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that mean to me? Because he obviously presented himself as and when you present yourself, that's the medicine. Like when a cardinal can fly, that's the medicine. When there's a feather, that's the medicine. When they present themselves, that's the medicine. So, I really just kind of sat with that, and what the medicine I got out of that is really beautiful, and it wasn't scary. It wasn't anything. It is that I needed to be more in tune with the interdimensional kind of messages coming through. It's really simple. It's really, really that simple. And I said, okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. The thing for us. So really that's that. So it was really, really beautiful medicine. It was me heightened awareness of those things unseen, as like the medicine wheel would say. So my job then for one was is to really focus in, learn how to see those things, those spiritual things, powerful things that are unseen. Maybe it's something, maybe it's clarity, maybe I was going through stuff, which I was, and that was beautiful timing. You see, well, the thing with the medicine, the larger picture is, the medicine always comes at the perfect time. Medicine doesn't say, oh, you know what, I'm a week early, but here's my medicine anyway. It doesn't say, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm a week late. You should have got this last week, but I got caught up. The medicine doesn't say that. The medicine comes exactly, kind of, the Western world calls it divine timing and all that, and that's true. So that divine timing. So it really helped me grow spiritually. It really just helped me, and the next kind of story, I was actually here in Northeast Ohio, probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, and I was leading that lodge. They asked me to lead, to be in the honor seat, a place of service there, and so I was kind of leading that circle there, and I got the overwhelming feeling that there was more outside going on outside. And so kind of between the doors, I kind of like peeked out. You're not really supposed to do that, but I kind of peeked out. And again, that medicine was standing right there. It was a little off to the left. I can't say too much more about during the ceremony, but once the ceremony was over, the lodge Indian, I crawled out and said, "Oh, and then I looked up. I stood up, and there he was again. Mm-hmm. There he was again, and he was off to the fire, probably about 15, 20 feet, which is really close. And this time his presence was so real, so profound, so beautiful. But this time it was really scary because I've never been this close to one before. And so I said, you know what? We talk about and this is really beautiful medicine. I'm so happy that I get an opportunity to share this, because this is really, really wonderful for the people. Like, I had to go to that place of death, like physical death, like said, and, like, as I'm crawling out of the lodge, I said, you know what? It come up and rip me in half, man. I said, you know what? If that's meant to happen, then that's meant to happen. And, but it wasn't a physical death. There was a spiritual death. There was really that north energy, and um, talking about things that no longer serve us. So I got up. I started to walk around the fire, and I just made a beeline to him. And I just looked at him. I remember looking in his eyes, said, I'm ready for this. I'm absolutely ready. Kind of tears started to form, kind of ready. Just because, you don't know what's going to happen on like the other side. And it was so, so beautiful, because what happened was, the closer I got to him, the more he faded away. He absolutely faded away into absolutely nothing. And then I walked to the place where he was about 2 minutes later. I didn't do it right away. It was not 2 minutes later. I kind of warming up. It's cold here in Ohio, so I kind of warmed up by the fire, and then kind of, went over there, and I could still feel his presence right there. I could still feel where he was sitting. But the medicine is, again, reminding me that there's some things in me that I need to let go, that I need to serve, that no longer serve my life. Some unseen things. There's interdimensional teachings, there's spiritual things that I really just need to let go of. That apparently, yeah. And again, it's one of those things that that I had to look at, that I really had to sit with, and the really beautiful thing is, thank God for, the elders that came before us that taught us, the ceremony begins after the ceremony ends, kind of thing. And so those are and so that was a beautiful reminder. I mean, I can remember getting pinged up at the Wopi Club meeting. I said, man, you got to sit with this, man. You really got to sit with this. So, I can remember going home that night, just taking out my pipe and, just holding on to my pipe and just sitting there. And I cried. I really did. I really did, because some stuff needed to. And what Sasquatch medicine is, it's not bad. It's not bad medicine. That's the narrative that's out there. Big scary thing that's really going to kill you. They just want a relationship with us, and they want to teach us and help us. Mindful, we have to be respectful of them, their interdimensional capabilities, qualities, messages, and medicine. We really have to be mindful of once we go out there, we're kind of more or less in their territory too. So we really have to be mindful. So so kind of the other thing is, they have feelings too, and, kind of just like us, and there's a lot of sadness there. There's a lot of anger there, and in some of those deeper, darker Sasquatch, big people realms, kind of thing. So, that they're not entirely happy with us right now.
Right,
I think it's safe.
Right.
They're not, and that's safe to say. They're not entirely happy, and it's really kind of our place to just kind of go there, and again, make those offerings, make that known, because they hear everything we say. They can be standing, and again, they can be standing right next to us right now, and we would, I don't really feel it right now, but they could be listening to us, because time and space doesn't mean anything in those unseen realms, in those spiritual realms. So we really have to be mindful. They are listening too. They're very good at what they're very good at the medicine that they carry, much better, much more focused than we are. So anyway, it's 2:30. I would love to hear. You kind of mentioned. Well, I got some other things too, but I'm kind of excited to hear
Okay. Well,
little
let's
bit of your
hear my
story.
stuff. Okay. So Shoshone, so what I grew up hearing was two things of Bigfoot. Either Bigfoot or big people. Either they can protect you and watch over you
Right.
in those spaces in the mountains, in the forest. And it was told too that because of the dimensions that they are able to travel through, that during the massacres that happened, they actually helped lead our people out of mountains, out of places into other parts of the land, so that we would be able to flee and be saved from, the genocide. Then the other part that was told to me was that if you are disrespectful to the land, if you're throwing your garbage around on the land, if you're not being, treating it as sacred and honoring that land, that he'll come to you in a scary way to scare you and to warn you. And I was told that he'll come to you 3 times if you're not living in that good way and you're not living on a good path and you're out there and you're being destructive, that he'll come to you 2 times to warn you. And then that 3rd time he'll come and take your life. And so I grew up hearing this story since when I was a little girl. So I'd be, I would always actually, when we were driving through the mountains at night, I could always feel this presence of him standing out in like, but moving just as fast as us. And I would be afraid to look out the window because I could feel him there. But it wasn't actually until 2012. I had just met my previous my ex-husband, and we were in Pocatello, and we were sitting there in the backyard of my uncle's, and the night before, the neighbor had actually seen a big man standing there on the outside of my uncle's house, and there was this tree there, and the branch was about 10 feet up off the ground, and it was, it was a thick branch, and the guy saw a big man go and grab the branch and he just broke it, and so this branch was just dangling down there, and so you could see it. So there's no way a physical man could just hang on that even and break it the way that it did. So there had already been, he'd already been around. My uncle had already been saying that he sees him all the time. Down just a little bit down the road, there's a Bottoms. I have so many stories of my aunties and my grandmas, talking about watching him bathe in the water and, traveling through and things like that. And so they always talk about, giving him offerings and, there's ceremonies for him. There's a song that I give for offering for him when I go into the mountains. So I sing a song with that tobacco, and I give that offering before I go into those, those walks and those things with the intention. And so at that time, my ex was not in a good place in his life. And so I was feeling this presence of like my life could get taken from me. And so we were sitting out there one night, and I was having a prayer smoke, and all of a sudden this big wolf just juts right across in front of me about 15 feet, and he's walking really fast. He looks at me, and he kind of like staring at me like, you should be moving too. Like he was on one, and he's like, he literally like gave me this look like, you better be moving too. And then all of a sudden, off in the distance, I hear this moo, and I was like, the hair on the back of my neck, everything stood up, and then I could just start hearing these footsteps off in the potato fields. And so then there was this little shed right there on the other side of the little yard, probably about 25 feet from the actual house. And so I ran over there to go see if I could see anything out in the field, but it's so pitch dark out there, I couldn't see anything. And my ex is standing there with me, and then all of a sudden I just hear the footsteps getting louder and louder, and I just hear the noise going woo, and it was just calling. And then all of a sudden I just hear spirit loud and clear, get in the house now, run. And so I grab my ex and I'm like, run. And so we go get in the house and we get in there. My uncle's like, hey, what you doing? And I was like, Bigfoot's out there. And he goes, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, he's not out there. And I was like, yes, he is. And he goes, okay, I'll be back. So he goes outside.
Alone?
He goes outside, yeah. He goes outside and he goes and stands out there for a good 5 minutes and then comes back in and he goes, oh yeah, he's out there. He was on the other side of the shed and he goes, he would have gotten to you by the time, if you hadn't gotten in the house, he would have gotten to you. And he's all telling us and he's like, yeah, I was talking to him for a minute and he like looked at my ex and he goes, he doesn't like you. And I didn't pay attention to that until now. And now that I'm talking about it, I'm now like realizing some things. So now that I'm looking back, I'm starting to now see the story of what my grandma would tell me about him coming to you and warning you in threes. Okay. So that was the first encounter. Okay. So the second one was almost about a year later. We had just got married in the mountains and it was raining really hard, so we ended up going back to the house. We were supposed to stay in the teepee, but because of the rain we ended up going back. But by 10:30 o'clock at night, it was about 10:30, 11, my uncle, he goes and looks at me and says, you got to go back and be up with that teepee. And I'm just kind of like looking at him like I'm gonna go up at night in the mountains. I have to drive 45 minutes back into the mountains to go back and be with the teepee that wasn't even put together very well to begin with, and it's like flooding. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with my uncle. He says go. Okay, so we go. So I ended up going with the husband at the time and his daughter, and we get up there and we're in this yurt. So we're getting ready in this yurt. I have this fire going, and all of a sudden, I kid you not, there was like the eeriest fog creeping in through the trees, 360 degrees around. It wasn't just coming one way in. It was literally like encroaching all the way around us, and it was thick fog. And then all of a sudden you start hearing the coyotes and you start hearing wolves howling, and they're getting closer and closer. And then all of a sudden I just had this feeling, and I was like, Stormy, get in the car now. So I had her get in the Suburban, and by the time I had gotten her into the Suburban, right on the other side of the yurt, so again it was about 20 feet away, I hear this big branch break, and I hear this big growl, and it's like, and I just like, again, I'm like the hair standing up on my neck. Ronnie, he had latched there was a gate to get out of the path, out of the camp place that we were at. He had closed the gate, and so we were actually now enclosed inside of the campsite with the gate closed. So we couldn't just get in the car and go out. So now he's sitting there. I get in the car and I'm like sitting. I'm praying. I've got my pipe and I'm smoking my pipe and I'm praying and I'm like giving tobacco offerings, and I'm like, the thing is I know he's not after me. He's after my ex. And so it was the creepiest feeling because I knew it wasn't after me. So I was just like, please, like, let me get out of here. I know you're not, you don't like this person, but let us get out of here. We're leaving. Let us leave. So then finally, I made the ex get out. He opened the gate and we got out of there. I got lost. I know those mountains at the back of my hand, and I got lost getting out of those mountains. The fog was so thick that I got lost, and it took me an hour and a half to get out of those mountains to get back home. And then I get back, and my uncle, he's like, "Oh, Bigfoot was there, huh?" And I was like, looked at him, and I was like, "You knew?" And I was like, "And you still sent me up there?" And he just kind of thought it was funny, but. It was like, what the heck? Okay, but all right, I get it. Now I get it. I'm like, it had to happen. I had to see it. I had to go through that myself and learn that, it wasn't that he was putting me in danger. It was, I have to go through experience and learn from myself. So I started realizing that I can't go into the mountains with this person. So I stopped going into the mountains with him. And so then over time, we ended up getting divorced. And then all of a sudden, like I started having this new connection with Big Man. And it was this sense of protection now in the mountains. And it was no longer this sense of fear, like I was going to get chased out, or I was going to, like my life was going to get taken from me. It completely changed. And that's when I realized that the person I was walking with at that time was not that good. And that, the medicine of the big people did not like his, the medicine that he was carrying. And so I ended up making peace with that spirit. And I ended up, I was about 5 years ago, I was fire tending for my mother while she was in her vision quest. And so it was in that time, being in the mountains, being in that sacred space, with that sacred fire for those 4 days, that I started creating a new relationship with him. And it was, I could feel his presence. I could smell him before he got there. That's the other thing, is I can actually smell him. And it's a very distinct smell. I've never smelled anything like it, but I can smell it from miles away. And so I started learning these songs and these offerings from the tribes down in California, and the Pumas, and so they started teaching me more songs and more offerings and more things, and then that's when I started creating more of this like deeper relationship, so that now, like when I go to the mountains, I'm always, before I go on my walk or anything, the moment I get out of my car, I'm giving my offering, I'm putting that tobacco down. And so it was a while ago, I think it was last year, I was with my dad, and I kept telling him about all these encounters I kept having with him while I was walking in the mountains by myself. And so my dad, he's been curious and, wanting to feel his presence and, feel this medicine too, and learn about it. And in person. And so I took him to the mountain. We started walking, and I gave him the tobacco, and I said, okay, we're going to say this. We have to let them know that we're coming into the mountains, that, we mean no harm. And, we're coming in peace. We're not here to disturb anything. We're just here to, just feel the ancestors and the beauty and connect with the earth. And, we walk in a good way. And so we start walking, and then all of a sudden I just felt that I smelt him first. I smelt him first, and then all of a sudden I felt him, and I stopped. And my dad, all of a sudden, he was walking in front of me, and all of a sudden he stopped, but he didn't see me stop. And so he stopped, and he looked at me and goes, "What was that?" And I go, "He's here." And I was like, "Here." So I give him tobacco.
You toss him the tobacco. Do it quick.
Take the tobacco. So I give my dad tobacco, and I'm like, I got my tobacco. I've got my prayer smoke already, like rolled up, ready for this. I was already prepared. And then I had a little bit of food and a little bit of water. So we're giving the offering, and I said, Dad, I was like, I already came with attention and knew this was going to happen. And I said, but for you, I said, you wanted this. So I said, so now you're going to have to sit here for a minute with this tobacco and give thanks for being able to feel his presence and to witness this and honor and give that thanks back. And so we sat there for about 5 minutes or so. And then right when he was done and he put his tobacco on the ground, you heard this knock on the wood.
Right.
It was the...
Oh, he was letting you know. Right.
Yep. And I was like, okay, we're good. So then he just kept going throughout the whole thing, and you would just hear this knock every like 100 yards or so. You would just hear this knock on this tree, and it was like he was letting us know where he was at and that we were being watched over. And
Right.
so then it was like, and then even like when we got to a point where it was time to turn around and go back, he actually grabbed a
Okay.
big branch and boom, he smashed it up against a tree. And
Mm.
you could hear it crack and break. And I looked at
Right.
my
Right.
dad and I was like, oh, it's time to go back. It's time to turn around. And I was
Right.
like, okay. So I gave another off. We were at the river
Wow.
at a little stream at that time. So I was like, okay, give another offering. And I sat there
Right.
with
Right.
another prayer and,
Right.
gave that
Right.
offering. And then we worked our way out. And so then my dad got curious and he's like, he found this big old log and he's like, he wanted to try to imitate the knocking sound that he heard on the tree. And he
Yeah.
tried to do, he could not whatsoever, he could not imitate
Yeah.
that
Right.
sound. And
Right. Right. Right.
but it was interesting because I'm like, Dad, I'm like, don't do that. And I'm like, and he's like, but he's all curious, He's just like, but I gotta see if I can make the same sound. And I'm like, Dad, I'm like, stop it. I'm like, knock
Oh,
it
right.
off. Just let it
Right.
be. Trust it. Just like
Right.
stop questioning it. Just it is what it
Right.
is. But the curious
Right.
mind. So I just like
Right. Right.
whatever. But he got through the couple sounds or whatever that he did to realize that it wasn't a man, for his own sake of mind, that it wasn't man making that sound, that it was
Right.
actually big man
Something
making the
much
sound.
bigger. Yes. Something bigger. I almost get the sense that he was protecting you that night. That's kind of what I'm hearing. He was kind of guiding you from, other things, from other things, and he was letting other things know that he was there, and so that's what I
Yeah,
just heard. That's what I just
yeah,
heard. So that's
yeah.
kind of that's so they were protecting you. So that's really, no, that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. So
So
that they were
that's one of
yeah,
my stories, because I've got several other ones of him walking, but
yeah,
that's one of the most
yeah,
recent ones of
yeah,
that real close encounter.
mm,
I've seen him
right,
across rivers before, sitting there in
yeah,
California down in the
right,
redwoods. I was
yeah,
sitting
sure, right,
there
right,
with my
right,
tobacco and I was praying,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
I looked over and at first I thought it was a bush, just a big like
yeah,
brown bush sitting there,
yeah,
and then I was like
yeah.
kind of like looking at it, but
Mm.
it was a little one. It was a baby.
Mm.
It
Oh,
was
really?
Yeah,
Wow,
it was
wow,
a baby, and then the mother was standing up higher behind the bush, and she was watching the baby as it was in the water playing.
wow, wow,
So yeah, so it
wow,
was like
beautiful,
I've seen the
yeah,
little ones.
yeah. Yeah, what's and what's interesting too is and this is kind of like a little twist on that. I never kind of thought about this before. I was up in Butiko, the
Mm,
Northwest Territories, up north, Yellowknife, probably another 2 hours north of the Yellowknife, uh, Jalisco.
mm,
And we went out into the bush there, and they say they have a different species of Bigfoot. They have they have big people there. You
uh-huh.
know, they know what that is, but they also have what they call Nakwan too,
Mm,
which is a different species I was real curious about what that would feel like, and I never got the feeling like that they were really that close up there, like energetically kind of thing.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that was some of the stories up in the Northwest Territories too, again very similar. um, they get the most sightings out there in early fall when everybody starts collecting wood, kind of going
Uh-huh.
out into the bush and, collecting wood. And, those communities up there are literally in the middle of nowhere. They have a bush plane come in like twice a week for supplies for the community, for two,
Mm-hmm.
300 people in that community, in those communities, up there. And so it's but they have some really, really, beautiful stories, and again, beautiful medicine. So it's really wonderful the way, different tribes, different communities, different indigenous communities really and really embrace her.
Uh-huh.
Really embrace being me. Their culture, their heritage. Um, I have one last story too. It's
Yeah.
I would I kind of got the feeling they like shiny things. I don't know
Uh-huh.
where I got it, and maybe they told me, but it's one of those things I just heard, and so I went into Wadena, and there's this one little shop in there, and I was looking for something. It was like a big marble,
Uh-huh.
and and I can remember I got a couple of big marbles from, from there, and then I would go, and that would be my offering, and actually went back to. It was about 2 or 3 weeks later. I went back and it was gone. And
Oh.
I don't want to say nothing. I don't want to assume nothing. But but once I got there, it wasn't like it's gone. It was like, oh, good, it's gone, kind of thing. Just so
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so energetically, it was really, really beautiful. And they know, um, they also know our smell too. So each one of us have a different kind of, as we were saying, odor to this.
Uh-huh.
It's part of our medicine,
Uh-huh.
and so I kind of got the feeling that they knew who it was that left it for me,
Mm-hmm.
so the other one, the last time I checked, was we're still there. It was a little kind of not quite off res, but it was kind of closer to the edge of the res. But the other was kind of right in the middle, and right in the middle of nowhere, kind of through the cow field, through this, through that, through that, kind of thing. And I just kind of left it in kind of like an open stump area, so
Uh-huh.
they would see it too. So it was really really beautiful that uh, that it was gone. I don't know. Maybe Hunter found it, but I don't think so. I think I
No,
don't know who else
I
found
think
it.
he found it. I think he found
Yeah,
your
man, you get that
offering.
feeling too, huh? You get
Yeah.
that feeling, huh? You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
That's really because
You're like,
because
no, he
thank you
knows.
for that because I
He
really get
knows.
that. Yeah, I just really got that. Oh good, he got it. And, kind of like a peace thing.
Yeah.
Again,
No.
we want to make good relations with
Mm-hmm.
them too. And
Yeah, no, I
so
hear he got it. He got it.
yeah, yeah, good. I was
He
hoping
got
you'd
your
say that. Yeah,
offering.
just kind of like this feminine. Yeah, yeah. So then I left a little tobacco for him right there, and said, actually I was a little disappointed. I should have brought another one actually for him, but
That
but
next time.
but
No.
next time, yeah. Next time I'm up there, but yeah.
Oh,
So
that's good. Well, better wrap it up.
okay, yeah, good, yeah.
It was
So
really good.
yeah, just I'm just gonna sit with your story, and again, I'll probably just sit with that medicine, tonight, and just try to make those good, those good the Telma glasses. So I knew being able to see with kind of
Mm-hmm.
new glasses type things. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
New
It said,
lens.
yeah, new lenses. Yeah,
It's
they
like a
said
new
glasses.
but
They said
old lens,
glasses.
ancient lens.
Yeah, yeah. They just said that. So yeah. So Spirit just said that. So yeah. That's always. So yeah, I'm just gonna sit with that. I'm gonna sit with what you shared and the medicine you shared, and also
Me
um,
too.
I hear that from different tribes with different ideas too. Again, we really want to get away from the idea that one's right and one's wrong and one's right kind of thing.
Right.
So it's just
That
kind of,
having
hey,
that respect
that
and honor.
yeah, and we all have relationships differently. We can have the same relationship, but it looks different. So so well,
Well, thank you for coming on today
thank
and
you.
sharing your stories and your wisdom
Yeah,
with us and your
yeah.
prayers. And watch him, you guys. He has his meditations every morning that he does, beautiful prayers, and plays his flute music as well. But just beautiful heart, beautiful man, just out here really trying to, be that positive light and help raise that vibration and knowledge for everyone, So I appreciate you and all the work you're doing, brother, and keep going strong.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep your strong prayers up, and we'll be back because we've got some more good topics coming up. So stay tuned, you guys, and we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
Thank you.